Hey, Timothy Unkert here. In this video, we're going to get started with Python. So the first thing we're going to do is create a Python folder. Now, I use Emacs. It's a little bit different, but either way, whatever text editor you're using, you just want to create a folder. Let's call that just Python. Let's go into the Python file and let's create a file called main.py. So I'm going to create a file and I'm going to call it main.py. It's that .py extension. Okay, so you've created a Python file. All right, so the first thing we can do is print our name. So we can say something like print, and then, hi, my name is Timothy. Okay, and I can save that. And now you want to open up a terminal. I'll be opening up eShell, but you can open up any type of terminal. Okay, and to run the program, I have Python 3 installed, so I'm going to type Python 3 and then the name of the file. And it says, hi, my name is Timothy. Okay, now I'm going to exit out of my terminal and we can go back and do some other stuff. One thing we can do is use a new line character, and that's a /n, just like that. And now we can print another line saying maybe how old we are. I am 45 years old. Yep. Found my birthday card in my car as I was cleaning it out. And I'm like, oh. Anyways, let's save that and let's go to eShell here and let's run it. And we see, hi, my name is Timothy. I am 45 years old. Now I'm going to show you something that causes an error and something we need to watch out for. So let's say that we wanted to what they call concatenate on a variable for our age. Okay, what we typically can do is we can close out our quotes and do a plus, and then we can concatenate on another string. So this is just going to say I am blank years old. This won't throw an error. Let's go here. And it says I am years old. It doesn't really make sense. Okay, so but that's not throwing an error. But let's say we wanted to add this variable age here, and we wanted to basically say that the age equals 45, and now I'm going to run this and hopefully pass in that age variable. Well, let's run it, and we get a type error that I can only concatenate a string onto another string, is basically what it's telling me. So what we can do is something in Python called, well, in many languages, it's called typecasting, and we can change this integer, which is 45, into a string by simply typing str and then surrounding age with parentheses. So that's going to typecast it into a string. It's going to say, I am 45 years old. But there's a problem here. I have to put a space after the am, or otherwise it's going to be right up against the M there. So now that I did that, I'm going to save that and let's run that. And you can see I am 45 years old. Another thing we can do with typecasting is we can actually change a number we can change a float into an integer. So for instance, let's say I have this float pi, and that's equal to 3.14156 something, whatever pi is equal to after the 0.14. Anyways, what I can do now is I can typecast that into an integer. So I can go down here and I can say, let's create a new variable. Let's call pi underscore int. And one thing in Python you should be doing is if you have two words, one of the ways that people typically do it is they use the underscore to separate words. That's kind of a Python convention. Anyways, so what we need to do now is we're going to typecast this into an integer. So we're going to say int pi. And then we want to typecast it into a string. So we can do print the value of pi as an integer is, and we're going to create a string and then pass in pi int. Okay. Now I'm going to save this and we're going to run it. And you'll see it says the value of pi as an integer is 3. Now that chops off the decimal part when you typecast it from a float to an integer. Okay. There is another thing we can do with these variables here. Let's go to the beginning and get rid of a couple of these lines. And we can use f strings in Python 3.6 or higher. And that way I don't have to typecast it. So I can print and to do an f string, we put an f and then opening and closing quotes. So the f before the quotes. So now I can say, my name is Tim. We can do a new line character and we can say my age is, and then we just pass in the age variable into these curly braces, and then Python will know that we're not concatenating an integer to a string. It's going to use the f string to format it correctly. Okay, and let's run this, and you see it prints out correctly. Okay, we can also just print out a float with another f string. We could say the value of pi is, and then we can just pass in pi there. And we can save that and run it. And you can see the value of pi is 3.14156. Okay. So we can also format these if we only want 2 decimal places. So let's do that. So if I want to format this, what I can do is I can use a modulo operator, which is a percentage sign to do this. And I don't need an f string either. I can say the value of pi is do a percent 0.2f, and then we do percent and pi, and it should print out now the value of pi is 3.14. And you see value of pi is 3.14. So those are different ways to manipulate strings, to include integers, to include floats in Python. Hopefully you found this interesting. If you did, could you please give it a like? And you started into Python, so congratulations. Thanks for watching.